but just to do a Cliff Notes version of the video we tried to do and it didn't work. I just want to talk to you about a few movies and a few TV shows and just some things I experienced in 2023 that I know you've talked about at least a couple of these things. So I know you've seen some of them, but that or at least have something to say. But I'm gonna try to do this quicker than we did last time because I don't want this part to be 3 hours.
Okay.
So Griff, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Go.
Okay, so we're doing lightning round. This is movies. This is 10 movies that I watched in 2023 that I recommend.
Okay.
And I just want to hear if you've seen them or if you're interested in seeing them.
Okay.
So first thing, you introduced this to me. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant.
Yeah.
So this is a great movie. People need to watch this if they like military stuff, if they can stand military stuff, then especially like Afghan war stuff, like in the Middle East, then this is, if you like those kind of movies, this is for you, I think, because it not only is the acting really good and the directing is really good.
Yeah, anything Guy Ritchie does is just
Yeah, and Jake Gyllenhaal, one of his best, I think.
He did really good. I've never thought him of ever being a bad actor. I think he's a very good actor. I think in a lot of moments he's kind of underrated. Like, a lot of people are like, well, I really think he's a really good actor. Like, I don't care what anybody has to say. I think he's a good actor. And there's just a part in that movie when he does that monologue to his superiors on why he has to go save a character in that movie was just awesome. It was very good line delivery. It was just really good acting. And
I like when a war movie does like it is a war movie through and through, but it's not like propaganda, where it's not saying like join the military, it's great, or it's like the military sucks, it's evil. It's not that.
There's no agenda to it. It's two guys that you would never think could be friends become friends, and they put their lives on the line for each other.
Yeah, and I just like when in a war story where you see two very different perspectives of the same conflict and how similar we actually are instead of how different we are. That they're both wanting to do the same thing and just trying to help each other out. I like movies about people coming together and just not dividing us up.
It's a very good movie. Yeah.
So highly recommend that. Sadly, it didn't do great at the box office because I don't think it was promoted very well. That's another story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good movies that don't do well financially.
Yeah. The box office doesn't really count anymore.
Yeah. If it's a hit on streaming, it becomes a hit.
Oh right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So highly recommend that. If you guys haven't seen it, please check it out. So that was something kind of original and interesting, and it's not based on a true story exactly, but it's inspired by true stories from from veterans and people that were on two sides of that conflict. So it doesn't have based on a true story on it, but it's I
think it was inspired by true events. It was something like that, but it was basically saying that this isn't completely real, but we got inspiration from it. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
These exact things didn't happen, but a lot of things like them did.
Right. Yeah.
So that it's kind of giving the audience perspective on a certain conflict. That's what it was about. So we're moving into something totally different. Scream 6. I don't know how the audience stands on the Scream movies. I'm still a newbie with these. Because I didn't watch those kind of movies when I was a kid. I didn't watch them when I was a teenager. Even I became a horror fan much later in life.
Yeah.
Like upper 20s, nearly 30 years old, and then hey, there's a new Scream reboot thing happening in 2022, and they're apparently all the Scream films actually matter, and there's continuity between them. And I'm like, okay, this sounds relatively interesting, and because I'm like, I know what a slasher film is, I know
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
what to expect. But then, but let me tell you, this YouTuber that actually got me into to watch the Scream movies to give him a chance is Dan Drambles. He's a lot bigger than me, obviously, but like he's still not somebody I hear people talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But he does like mostly horror related stuff, and he does this like month long Halloween themed thing. Like he did it for like 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the years he's covered slashers as a genre, and he talked about at that time the 4 Scream movies that existed,
Yeah.
though they were all like by Wes Craven and had I think all the original writing staff and
Yeah.
everything. And
I'm sorry. Who was that?
Dan Drambles.
That's not the stuck in my eyes guy, is
No,
it? Or is
no.
that somebody different?
It's somebody different.
Okay, I don't know why you said that. You said who his name was, and I was thinking it was the same guy. I thought maybe it was just a different name.
No, he's
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't recognize the name, so I didn't know if I was getting somebody mixed up with somebody.
Yeah, but he like I have to recommend his videos on the Scream films because they're so in depth, and in his analysis of how they were written, how they were directed, and like how all the whole creative process and like the behind the scenes problems that like basically every single one of those movies had, that kind of shows through. Like if you know what you're looking for, you can see like certain things are done certain ways because of the behind the scenes trouble they had.
Yeah.
So I just really got to he really helped me understand that as a franchise. And I'm a guy who doesn't really care that much about spoilers, so if you guys do care about spoilers, watch the movies first before you see his videos. Because he talks about like the twist and ending for each of them.
See, I like a good spoiler. I don't know why. I'm just like, cool, I like to know what's going on before it happens.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what struck me about Scream, is even though I knew who the killer was in each one of them because of those videos, it still shocked the hell out of me at least
like you still
once
didn't
or
see
twice.
it coming, even though you knew who it was.
Well, like it was like there's always a couple moments or a couple of things that really jumped out at me that I wasn't expecting, that a review of a movie can't tell you about. Like they're not going to spoil every editing choice, every like scare that's in the movie or unexpected thing that just suddenly happens.
Yeah.
I like whodunit stories a lot, like murder mysteries. So if anyone's a fan of murder mystery storylines and they've never watched a slasher movie, Scream is like the one franchise I'd recommend.
Yeah.
Because that's a different killer every single time. Even though they're all wearing the same costume and using the same weapon, but it's just like every single killer is different. Their motives are different. They're like, I really like that was such a great idea for a story that it can be a franchise, because Ghostface is an icon. Like you can use that in every film, and it means something in universe and it means something out of the universe. So it's like, but it's not stuck with keep bringing back the same killers over and over again like a lot of the other franchises do.
Yeah.
So I just really appreciate that about them. And then the Scream 5 came out, which is obnoxiously titled Scream. Because I'm like, I rolled my eyes when I saw
how original.
I rolled my eyes when I saw that's what it was titled.
Yeah.
But if you watch the movie, you get it. Like you become in on the joke of what they're doing. Like, because every single one of them makes fun of like slasher tropes, sequel tropes, reboot tropes, and like this one is legacy sequels.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Is what the two new ones are about. And it's about like they're still connected to the old cast. The old cast still shows up in some capacity, plays a little bit into the plot.
Yeah.
But it's like its own narrative, just set in the same universe.
Yeah.
But I really, really liked Scream 5, and apparently apparently a lot of people rank Scream 5 like right there with the first one.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because it's very derivative of the first Scream.
Yeah.
Because that's again the point of
Yeah.
the movie is that because legacy sequels just becoming an exact retread of the original. Like that's the joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it's riffing on the Halloween reboot that they just did a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like it's that basically, but it's making fun of itself. Like that's why I liked it so much. I was like that they understand horror and they understand comedy. Like that's why I like Scream, because it's a little bit scary here and there, but it's also goofy.
Yeah.
And like it's aware of itself, so it's not taking anything too seriously, but at least being well written enough to the goofiness doesn't take me out of it. Like that's the fun of it. And the the whole killer reveal thing, like some of them are better than others. Everybody would rank them differently depending on the person, but I really like 5, and so I was super excited about 6 coming out this year, and the fact that it came out like a little over a year after that one. Like
because normally franchise stuff doesn't come out that fast.
Yeah, which made me worried because I was like, oh god, are they just rushing this, to take advantage of the trend that everybody likes the new Scream now? But a lot of that was not in my head at all watching the new one. Like it's a sequel, like it's aware of what it is, and it's not pretending to be better than that, but it is better than that, I think, because it's the fact that a franchise can have 6 movies in it, and I recommend all of them still, like that's insane.
Yeah. Like
I can't think of any other franchise where I'm like these 6 movies are actually pretty good, and I recommend them.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the videos I wanted to do last year, was like after 6 came out and I realized that I liked all of them. I was like, man, should I do a Scream, like big Scream video for Halloween? Mm-hmm. And I just kept hitting wall after wall after wall, and I'm like, no, can't do that. Sorry.
Was it the creative process on how to write it, or was YouTube flagging you?
It never got that far.
Oh, okay.
It was all in the writing and like how to structure it.
Yeah, it would be hard to structure an episode about 6 different movies. Yeah, that would be hard.
Yeah, like
sometimes it's hard to just do one on 6.
I mean, and that's why when Dan did his videos, it was smart because he did one movie per video.
Yeah,
and then he like at the end of the review of that certain movie, he talk about like how it related to the other films.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
Like that's, and just to people who at least know a little bit about movies and everything, the team that put together Scream 5 and 6 is Radio Silence, who are the people who did Ready or Not, and they've done a couple of other horror movies. Apparently they're doing something else this year that's like a vampire story, I think.
Huh.
But I was like, but I'm like, I really like these guys. These guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, because Ready or Not was really good. I was actually surprised how good that movie was. I didn't think it was going to be bad, but I was just surprised by it. So that's cool that they surprised you with the Scream.
Yeah, and I want to say that like the 2 lead actresses I really like and really respect in these, but kind of blank on her name, damn it. Hold on. Melissa Barrera is the lead, and Jenna Ortega's her sister. Like that's who they are. I was like, man, I was so scared for a second.
It's all right. I was gonna Google it for you, man. I had your back. I was like, I got you.
Yeah. So they play sisters in the movie, and that's really like an underlying theme in the 2 movies is about siblings looking out for each other, like despite their issues and like the baggage they have toward each other, they still love each other at the end of it. I just think that those 2 were perfectly cast, like because how much they act like siblings and how much I believe that when they're pissed at each other, how much I believe that they care about each other.
Like you saw some really good chemistry.
Yeah.
Like some actors and actresses, when they do a part together, they just have really awesome chemistry. Yeah. Now, I didn't see the movie. because I don't care about Scream.
Yeah.
But I like I said, I do like it when two people can come together and you can really be convinced that they're brother and sister, or sisters, or whatever.
Yeah. Because the lead, this Melissa Barrera, Sam, I related a lot to her because like she's like the protective older sibling.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though I'm the baby of the family technically,
Yeah.
but she's like around the same age as we are, and then Tara is Jen Ortega. In 5, she's like a senior in high school, and then in the new one, she's in college.
Okay.
So there's a significant age gap between them, but they, it's like they still work through all their differences, and I respect the hell out of these two films, and apparently they were not getting a follow up to that. I'm not going to get into that. It pissed me off. But,
yeah.
But let's move on to the next one. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I have to say, I'm not a D&D person. I've never played it. I understand the basic principle of what it is, and it seems like a lot of fun. But this movie is really fun.
Yeah.
Like you know those old like adventure movies you would watch that were just like sometimes they were really fantastical, sometimes they were a bit more grounded. It just depend on the movie. Like the way I'd kind of describe this film is like the same. I got the same feeling from this as like watching the original Pirates of the Caribbean and like the original like Ocean's 11, like kind of, like those kind of, because it is a story about a bunch of thieves working together on a heist, but it's set in a fantasy world, and it's obvious that the people who made it love D&D, and they probably played it a lot when they were younger. They might still play it now. So, I'm just saying, if just because you haven't played D&D, don't worry about that. Like it gives you everything you need to know about the story, and if there's little Easter eggs, there's little lore bits that like people who have played the game are like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like if you are a fan, you get a little bit more out of it. But if you're not a fan of D&D, I think it might make you interested in being a part of it. You haven't ever played D&D, have you, Griff?
No, I kind of wish I knew somebody to play with, but I haven't had the opportunity to. I haven't seen the movie. I will someday, but yeah, I wanted to see it. I didn't want to see it that bad.
Yeah,
but I wanted to see it.
And when it came out, it was a very crowded month because it came out in March last year, which Scream was like the first Friday in March, and then there was like a Shazam movie and the 65 movie with Adam Driver and like John Wick, and like there was like 5 big movies like week, like in a row, and I'm like this was this was a stupid scheduling decision for whoever thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, sure, a couple of those are going to make a decent amount of money, but like a lot of them are just going to be drowning because there's so much competition in this one month.
Yeah, I don't even know how it works, like on how stuff's released like that.
But we'll say the lead characters are it's Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez are the leads in it.
Yeah.
And they both give really good performances in it. Like Chris Pine, I've always liked him as an actor, but
I like Chris Pine.
But it's kind of a different role for him. He's kind of morally ambiguous because he's a thief, but he like used to be a super honorable person, and then now he's a thief. Mm-hmm. He's a single dad. He's trying to look out for his daughter. And Michelle Rodriguez, I was really curious if they were going to do like a romance between them, like since they were like the two lead characters. It's not that. Oh. They are literally just like best friends.
Oh, okay.
And she's like a barbarian type character, from a Viking style tribe, you know. So she's more of the muscle of the group.
Yeah.
Carries a giant ass axe, which is really cool looking.
Yeah. Of course, Hollywood had to make it the woman be the strong lead.
Well, Chris Pine is really good at things. He's just like He's the way I describe these two is, the fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Like, he's the guy who retreats because he knows he's outgunned. She's the one that runs head into a fight, even
Yeah.
though she doesn't know she can win.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like she plays the same. Like, ever since Fast and the Furious, I don't believe she's ever played anybody different on screen, but that's just me, though.
she's a lot better in this movie
Oh, okay.
than I think.
All right.
At least since, like early Fast and Furious, I'd say. Like, it's not just the tough girl act. It's like she's got a lot of emotional weight with her, like with her friendship with Chris Pine, and she basically helped raise his daughter as like her aunt, basically. So it's a really cool dynamic between characters.
Okay.
And it goes into her like a previous relationship she had, and it's all really well done. Like, I think it's cool they did that. So let's keep going. Sisu, a movie that not a lot of people know it by name, but you probably saw the trailer at some point last year.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the movie, but I'm interested.
But it's a historical fiction film set in Finland during the end of World War II, where the Nazis are like losing the fight in Europe, and the villains of this are like a Nazi squadron that are basically trying to cut and run, like to get whatever plunder they have and just leave the country and just try to leave the war. But they crossed the one guy they shouldn't have crossed in this, and it's just an old man prospecting out in the wild with his dog, and he just happens to find a vein of gold in the river, and he has it on him, and the Nazis are like, "Gold, you say?" And so they're like, well, we got to take that, we got to confiscate that, and then this old man that, like, I'm not saying he ever looked frail or weak or anything, but just what he's capable of doing physically in a fight and against these soldiers is insane. Like, what he comes up with, and it's a lot of that, like he is an old badass and nobody knows is a badass, like that trope, because he was a soldier when he was younger.
Okay.
And there's actually like a real legend that this character is based off of a soldier from Finland that wiped out. I think the actual legend was he killed a bunch of the Russians that invaded. But it's based on a real legend in Finland, and it's cool that it's a joint Finland production and U.S. production, like working together. So just as an action movie, plain and simple, I highly recommend it. But if you have a love of history and like legends and storytelling like that, it's really cool. I don't know the main actor's name, and I'd probably butcher it because it's Finnish. But I was like, this guy is damn good as this character.
Yeah.
And I just, if you like any of those kind of things, watch it. That's what I'm gonna say. Because, like, it's from the producers of John Wick, and you're like, yeah, I see it.
Right, because I feel like all their films are a John Wick film.
Yeah, and if you're curious on this recap why we don't talk about John Wick Chapter 4, well, we got together with a buddy last year and talked about it for nearly 3 hours. It's on my YouTube channel if you're really curious about our feelings on it.
Yeah.
So, moving on, since we're trying to wrap up here. Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, animated, insanely awesome film that I saw in the summer. I don't know, did you ever watch the original Spider-Verse?
No, it just wasn't something I was interested in. I can't stand what Marvel puts out now, so I don't watch it.
Well, it's not technically, it's not MCU, it's different. Like,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
I thought they had ties.
The whole Spider-Man situation's kind of tenuous because Spider-Man can show up in certain MCU projects, but this is something because Sony technically owns the rights to Spider-Man and all of his characters. So, but like, this is an entirely Sony production, not related to the MCU.
Okay.
but it's if you love a good multiverse story, like where you see a bunch of characters from different timelines that have gone through like the same character arc basically, and like coming together and like understanding each other and like working as a team. It's really cool because you see all these different spider people that like a lot of them are from comics, some of them are from the video game, some of them are from the old cartoon series.
Wow.
And like
okay.
And with this sequel goes totally nuts with the animation because there's like 1,000 different spider people on screen at one point.
Yeah.
And every single one of them is animated slightly differently.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
And all of this is happening during an action scene. Like they're all running and jumping and swinging side by side with each other, and I'm like, just over 1,000 VFX artists work together to make that shot.
Wow.
Like that's
it sounds like a lot of hard work.
Yeah. And everything about it I really liked. One funny thing about it is that it's a sequel to what is the first one called? Is it Into the Spider-Verse, I think, is the first one.
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you want me to look it up?
No, it's close enough. Into the Spider-Verse. This is Across the Spider-Verse. A lot of people did not know that this is part 1 of 2. And it ends on a hell of a cliffhanger. Like, so you're like,
yeah, because I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I just want to tell the audience now, like there's a cliffhanger ending. So as long as you're prepared for that, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because it'll probably be like 5 years before we get the follow-up, which I'm fine with, because 5 years from Into the Spider-Verse gave us this. I'm like, if it's this quality, I can wait 5 years. I don't mind. Just don't rush it.
Yeah. Don't rush it and ruin it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.